Because we don't understand how life formed, it is difficult to estimate this probability. The likelihood of a complex molecule like DNA being created by random collisions of atoms in a primordial ocean is fantastically small. In an infinite universe, it would happen in some places, but they would be very far apart. If we want to find advanced intelligent life, our best bet is to listen for radio signals.
Look up to the stars and the forests that surround. Do you see them? Do you hear them? Are they there? SpacedOutRadio.com presents S4 with Forest Moon Paranormal's Eric Cooper and friends. Also, take the time to join the Forest Moon Paranormal Facebook group.
I knew I should have made a left turn at Albuquerque.
Conspiracy, Area 51, Dogman, Ghosts, Cover-Ups, UFOs. The hidden will reveal itself.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go live on S4 with Eric Cooper.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to S4 with Eric Cooper, broadcasting live from the beautiful mountains of Concrete, Washington. Tonight we are talking about the paranormal year that was 2017 and what we can anticipate for 2018. On our panel tonight we have Eric Markham, our FMP scientist, R. Keith Andrews, astrologer and alien specialist, Dave Scott, host and owner of Spaced Out Radio, Tessa Nicole Thomas Peterson of Four Corners Paranormal, myself, Corey Reese, and your host, Forest Moon Paranormal Zone, Mr. Eric Cooper.
Hey, good evening, everyone. And coming to you live, obviously, from the crazy mountains of concrete. Oh, my God, they're doing something with the power grid. I blame it on the aliens. I even said that in the concrete group, and lots of laughs because most of them don't believe in aliens, but that's okay. And we are terrestrial now every Wednesday from 10 a.m. to noon on KSVU 90.1 FM for all the local listeners. It's going to be pre-recorded shows. In fact, I think this week they're actually doing the roundtable from a couple weeks ago. So, yeah, and Daryl's in the chat room saying roundtable. Well, actually, every show we do is almost like a roundtable, with the exception that we all don't come with questions. We come with a topic and we pick it apart. And tonight we're picking 2017 and 2018 apart, and we're talking. Actually, Keith has an astrological prediction for 2018, which I can't wait to hear. So how's everyone doing tonight?
Not bad at all. Actually, better than usual. But thanks for having us.
Oh, always.
Good evening.
And so we have Tess on tonight. She's with Four Corners Paranormal. So what Forest Moon Paranormal does, we have several different teams that we work with. And in different, like with Four Corners Paranormal, I know Tess covers Colorado, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico. We have a couple other teams that cover other states, and they have access to the Astral team as well as Markham and Karen, our scientists, if they come across issues in their own cases, as well as helping us with ours when we have clients that are in their area. So what I'd like to do for 2018 is actually start having some of the other team leaders on the show, so we can actually talk about their teams and what they do and issues they have and whatnot on S4. So that's one thing about that way. And yeah, it'll incorporate more teams in what we do, bring them onto S4. We are paranormal, we are conspiracy, we talk everything. And I want to rant for a second because I want to explain something. So most of our listeners, and I know all the Forest Moon members, read my 2018 message, and I want to explain what paranormal is, because this really irritates me. If I'm a client, I don't know anything, I see a UFO, I should be able to go to any paranormal investigator, and Corey and I ranted about this earlier today, but if you say you're a paranormal investigator, I should be able to go to you with a Bigfoot sighting, I should be able to go to you with a UFO sighting, not just spirits and hauntings. Because to me, a paranormal investigator covers everything. If you're only in it for spirits, hauntings, ghosts, then to me you're a ghost investigator. If you're a ufologist, then you're a UFO investigator. If you're a paranormal investigator, your team should cover the whole spectrum. Bottom line, you're misleading the public. You're misleading your clients. If they come to you with an issue and you kind of scoff at them and say aliens, there's no such thing as aliens. But oh my God, we've seen a spirit. That to me, that's just stupid.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't paranormal mean anything that is outside the normal?
I agree.
It does. And isn't Bigfoot outside the normal? Aren't UFOs or extraterrestrials, alien abduction, outside the normal?
Well, not in my world.
I mean, look up the definition of paranormal. I actually had to do a speech on it for my speech class last month. And, you know, my professor was actually excited because she didn't know much about the paranormal. And I only had 5 minutes. Yeah, you don't have a whole lot of time in 5 minutes. Most of our training covers 4 hours. So, yeah, that was a real quick, very brief speech. But am I right or wrong, Dave? Am I going outside a little bit too far, or do you agree?
No, I think you're right on track with it. However, I think what happens is because of television, everybody has kind of rolled the idea that the paranormal is strictly ghosts, spirits, demons, and whatever else that's supernatural in the ghostly realm. And I think they're just so used to using the word that they haven't broken it down to what you taught me. I used to do that all the time until you taught me and put it into my head that, you know, the word paranormal really means everything. What I always say, explain to people about it who ask me about it, is I say use the word paranormal as if it were a tree. Ghosts is a branch of that tree. UFOs is another branch of that paranormal tree. Bigfoot, Dogman, fairies, gargoyles, gnomes, whatever you want to call them. They're all different branches on that paranormal tree. And I think a lot of people have a tough time bringing that to the table because they're just so used to and so trained by paranormal television to just use the term paranormal for ghosts.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's, to me, that's the problem because, you know, if me as a client that knows nothing has a UFO experience, they should be able to go find a paranormal investigator that's going to cover that. And again, with that label as a paranormal investigator, that should cover that. You know, like we were talking last night, what are the trends? And I've seen the word pareidolia and photo matrixing so much in the last month, it makes me sick. I agree, and I agree with Corey. If you can look at a picture and see something in the first 10 seconds, then there's probably something there. If you have to look at a picture or a video for longer than 10 seconds to see what people are talking about, then you're going to kind of go into the world of pareidolia. I agree with that. But the reason it came up was because we had rude people that came into our group that were tearing down the clients. And I'm sorry, but if you weren't there when that client took the picture, how do you know what the client felt? How do you know what the client saw? Now, some clients, they won't see anything per se, but some clients are sensitive. And if they felt something was there and they took a picture and they saw a shadow, then so be it. Are you going to sit there and tell them they didn't see what they saw?
Well, especially in my field, even if you're standing right there, when you start talking about feeling something, as in feeling like you're being watched or you're feeling some sort of energy pattern, even if you're standing right beside them, you may not be picking up the same thing they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I completely.
One of the things that I say, is that I say about 10 to 30 seconds if you look at a picture or a video or something like that, and basically I've kind of figured that, and that's just based off my own opinion of things there, but, it's what my experience has been. I can take a picture, and if I look at it more than about 30 seconds long, I can just about pick something out of somewhere that probably isn't there. But yeah, basically, generally if you stay within that 10 to 30 second range when you're looking at a picture to try to find something, if there's something there, you'll see it. We saw the picture that Dave posted up. You could see that from 10 yards away within 2 seconds. I was going through some pictures today of another thing that we had done, and I just scanned the pictures, each one of them, about 10, 15 seconds long. One of the pictures I found something in it. So, it's the rest of them I didn't. I think it's a pretty good rule of thumb if you do it that way, that you're not spending hours and hours looking at pictures, for one, and for two, you don't accidentally get yourself into a pareidolia situation with something that's not really there.
Exactly. Now, Tessa, I want to jump on you for a second. What's your opinion?
I actually agree with that. Are we on the topic of the pictures and looking at the pictures, or are we back on the main topic?
Yeah,
either one.
Both.
Okay, yeah, with pictures generally, like you said, right away, if you see something, it's obviously there. You can look at pictures that people post that are a little pixelated, and there'll be trees with leaves in the background, and they'll say, oh, I see faces all over the place. Well, that's pretty common. When you look at a bunch of leaves and stuff, you can make faces just like if you look at clouds, and make shapes.
Mm-hmm.
Spending too much time on it can start to create things in the mind and different graphics, etc.
And I want to add real quick. The other thing you have to ask with pictures is that a straight picture, or did they actually zoom in? Because if they zoom in, then that does add more pixelation.
Yeah, it definitely does. And with the paranormal, I always say, anything's possible. There's stuff out there that we don't know about yet, or maybe it's a tale that, older than what we recognize and it hasn't come up yet. There's so many things out there. I'm generally never really surprised. The paranormal does reach across many levels of things, entities and natural, whatnot.
Exactly. Now, tell us a little bit about Four Corners Paranormal real quick. How long you guys been around? What's your biggest investigation as far as an area of the paranormal you look at?
We actually didn't get together as a group until 2012. I mean, we'd always gone and hunted, etc. But 2012, we put our hat in the ring, put our number in the phone book, reaching out to people. You know, we're here to listen. And we've done several cases. One of our biggest ones is at the Durango and Silverton Railroad. And we went in there during the day for a preliminary investigation, and the ghost there was very active. The museum curator told us that her name was Emmy, and she had been there since this certain train car had been there. And so we go in and through different equipment, etc., we got her name, Kate Johnson, and different random words after that, which, you know, sharp tool, Walter, intention, death. And we gave these words to the museum curator and did some digging and found out her name was Kate Johnson. She was a prostitute from Alamosa, and she had fallen in love with a firefighter, and they were eloping on the train. And the brakeman, being that she was a working girl, had intimate moments with her and, you know, had fallen for her as well. So a fight ensued, and the firefighter was killed in the fight. And Kate tried to move on with her life, but felt guilty and ended up taking her own life. So I guess she was kind of stuck there. The museum curator, Jeff Ellingson, he has classes and tours go through there all the time, and he had a Catholic school class come through and told them the story. He wasn't going to tell them the whole story, but he ended up telling them anyhow, and I guess they said a prayer of release from purgatory, and she was gone for a little bit, but she came back because there is another ghost there, and her name is Emmy. She's just younger, and we actually have pictures of both of them on a game camera, and we've also caught FLIR camera pictures of her, etc. And it kind of goes into free will, like she came back to help the smaller ghost because the brakeman is there as well, which we have a picture of him too. But that's our biggest case so far, and we're still working on it. We've been working on that since the beginning, and it just continues. We're trying to help in whatever way we can, both people on this side and the other.
Okay, excellent. So I'm looking for my list here because we actually have about 8 teams that we actually work with right now, and that list is going to go up. And for those that are listening that have their own team, and what's cool about Tessa's team is, and I felt honored because she she actually contacted me and wanted to know how her team could actually do our training. And you know, I don't even think about other teams in training because I just focus on Forest Moon. And so she actually wanted to have her team do our training. So, you know, we have the audio and we have the PowerPoint, and she actually used our audio and PowerPoint for her own team's training, which I think was cool as hell.
That's fabulous.
Yeah. I mean, not that we're the, you know, end all and know all, because like I've said in our, you know, our 2018 message, we learn new things every case we do, and we adjust our, you know, tactics and whatnot to improve. And I think that's what every team should be doing, not just go in with a picture and an EVP and go, oh, cool, look what we got. Yeah, okay, look what you got, but did you help your client? Well, no, it's not what we're here for. Well, then what are you doing?
Yeah,
are you just trying to prove the paranormal? Well, in my opinion, the paranormal has been proven a long time ago.
See, that's
and why? Oh, outstanding, Markham. How's work going tonight?
Dude, and I mean this in all seriousness. I need the team to come look at this chemistry analyzer. I swear this thing is possessed by a malevolent force.
Do we need to send the astral team in?
If they got a chance, or because this is weird. Okay, I did what you're supposed to do when it locks up 3 times. Didn't work. Called service. Okay, the service guy links in remotely on a hard line. Does the same thing I did, and it worked.
Did you think to ask it nicely to work?
Oh, it knows I hate it. We have a love-hate relationship. I love to hate that analyzer, but just weird. And then I got caught up, so I go to grab some lunch. They take my order at the drive-thru. I get up to the window. They're not taking cash. They're not taking cards. They always take cards, and they didn't know who my order was. But a voice came across the kiosk and took my order and repeated it back to me.
Okay, that may not be that little machine of yours that's possessed. You may have company.
No, you have an implant.
Whatever it is, you can go to
Mark
my hungry butt. Yeah, I couldn't. I had to get there. I had to get there before they shut the milkshake machine down to start with.
Right.
And but anyway, nothing.
Well, the Astral's busy. The Astral team's actually on 2 cases right now, so we'll get them on you tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd rather they check it out when I'm nowhere near the machine, because if it's going to burst into flame, I don't want to be there.
We have 2 boots on ground cases coming up here shortly. One's tomorrow, and the other one's probably next weekend. So we're talking 2018. Yes, our caseload will be picking up. So January 14th, real quick, is our next training for anyone local listening. We will be meeting at Annie's Pizza at 2 p.m. And this month is UFO and alien abduction investigation. So it's really ironic because I swear to God, when I was on Space Out Radio last night, the storm that came through here was unlike, I think, anything I've seen in a very long time, because out of the blue, we had thunder and lightning. We had about 40 to 50 mile an hour winds, rain that was probably about an inch an hour or more, and it lasted for about 3 or 4 hours. And we just had snow Christmas Day. So for our storms to fluctuate like that, yeah, I blame it on the aliens. Kind of dry humor, but yeah, weird. So yeah, and this month we are doing alien abduction and UFO training, and again, as usual, it'll be on. There'll be an S4 special show with just that training audio, and then a PowerPoint for other people that want to take the training outside the area. Also.
Are you planning on training people on how to abduct aliens? That could be
that will be a 2019 plan. We've got to master that first, and then we'll teach it in 2019. So another thing we are doing too is each month we're doing a joint team meeting. For the teams that are a part of our affiliation, and we'll be talking business because there's a lot of things coming down the pipes for 2018 with Forest Moon and other teams that work with us. But let's get to 2017. So real quick, with Forest Moon, our big jump was in 2017, and that's when we actually stopped alien abductions for the first time ever that I'm aware of, using our Astral team. And we've actually successfully stopped 5 abductions. And back in '94, when I first started getting into the abduction side of things, I couldn't do anything to help them other than say, you're not alone. Start doing a dream journal. Let's find you some therapy as far as getting with peer support therapy groups. And that's the best I can do. 2017 was an exciting year for stopping abductions. And of course, jumping into the alien race side of research went. 2017 was that big year, and meeting Keith to assist with that. What did you guys see? What was your excitement for 2017?
Well, for me, it was much more on the practical battle. I finally managed, after 10 years, to actually get through to the government that I was right, and they started sending me the money they owed me. I'll tell you, that was a shock in itself.
Well, was 2017 the year the CIA came knocking on your door?
No, that was 2016.
Okay.
Yeah, that one threw me for a loop, because I'm still trying to figure out, if they've got no jurisdiction, what the heck they're doing up here in Canada banging on my door. And of course, the nice part there was, after I got finished talking to them, they were kind enough to tell me, well, you haven't told us anything that our government doesn't know. So I was very polite about it, and my apologies to any of the people in the States, but I looked at the woman and I went, well, then you've got one of two choices. You can either accept the fact that they don't know what I'm sitting on, or accept the fact your government is stupid. And she looks at me and she goes, you can't call my government stupid. I says, let's understand something. I'm an English major. I learned how. And much more importantly, welcome to Canada. I call my own government stupid. You bet that I'm going to call yours.
Oh, so we have Robert. We have Robert in the chat room, and I believe he's close to New Year's Eve, is he not? Is it how far into the future is Robert right now?
I believe he's about 16 hours right now. So he should be around dinner time there tomorrow.
Because you know, Dave, we're so far behind everybody.
I know.
I mean, West
ridiculous.
Coast, we're the very last ones to see the New Year.
Well, actually, Hawaii is 4 hours different. It's only 8:26 right now in Hawaii. Yesterday.
Oh, okay. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
True.
So if we had, with Robert White, we can ask, how's tomorrow looking? But if we have listeners from Hawaii, we can say, how's yesterday looking?
Well, actually, he just said he's 5 hours and 33 minutes away.
Yes, from New Year's.
Uh-huh.
So he is 17 hours or 16 hours ahead.
Andy says 4 hours.
So he's going to be able to tell us what 2018 looks like in 5 hours and 34 minutes.
Exactly.
Wow.
So we can literally ask him very close here. Not only how's tomorrow looking, but how's 2018 looking?
Right.
No doubt.
Exactly.
I don't know about you guys. I don't think I'll be online at that point.
No. Obviously, we have a case in the morning, so I'll definitely be asleep.
Yeah. So you're talking 2017. I want to pull a little rant myself here.
Okay.
All right. So here's something that really bothers me quite a bit, and it is when you get teams that are trying to work together. It is when one or more teams decide that they want to air things out on social media. Okay? That they don't either believe something or, there's something that they just can't get on board with, whatever that may be. And, two things about that. First is that, if you've got an issue with somebody or something, I think you should do it face-to-face. For reason one is that anything that you put out there on social media or any electronic type thing where you just type it in, there's no emotional inflection on what you've just typed. So anybody can look at it, and however they're feeling that day, that's how they're going to perceive that was said, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent. And that is one of the things that I've always said, and I hate dealing with things over of stupid stuff like that over the internet or texting or anything else like that. I think something like that deserves a phone call or a face-to-face or something. And two, if you're trying to work with other teams, that's the type of stuff you just don't put out there. You put out there, what you do, how you handle things, what your ethics are, whatever that may be. That's what you put out there. You put out there what you do. You don't put out there what other people that you're working with or even people that you're not working with do. You don't put that out there because all you're doing is creating problems. In 2017, I have seen a ton of that, and it makes me mad because it is teenage BS. That's exactly what it is. It reminds me of high school.
Just say it's a plethora of drama.
It is. It is a plethora of drama. And I'm telling you right now, that stuff needs to stop. When are we going to grow up and act like the adults that we are? I'm talking about people of us that are, we're not talking about people in their 19, 20, 21, 22. I'm talking about people that are 30, 40, 50 years old acting like this. And you have to think, what are you doing? Grow up and act like an adult. I don't care if you're in the paranormal or what it is that you're doing. Act like an adult and work with the people around you. That's my rant.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that's why I ranted a little bit last night on Spaced Out Radio, because, 2017 in the beginning was great, in the middle was great, and it wasn't until the last 2 months that all the drama ripped its head up and really made the end of the year negative. And I don't want to go into 2018 negative, but we're going to change that, and we are expanding what we're doing into 2018. So we're dropping the negativity now on the show tonight, and we're going to look at the future, because 2018 is going to be a great year. We have a lot of great things planned. I've got the T-shirts back up at request. It's going to be a great year. We actually have one of our members is doing a fundraiser for us in October with several speakers. It'll be just like a mini Paracon. We've got the Forest Moon Paracon. We've got the Caribou Paracon. Training. We actually have a fair or a market that's starting in concrete that we're actually doing disaster preparedness classes, paranormal classes. We have a free booth there every weekend starting in May to October where we can get the word out. They're sponsoring Paracon, and it's going to be a great year. We're getting new equipment coming in. Corey, I know you got a full spectrum camera. I got one for Christmas. We're going to pick up some K2s. And because, with Forest Moon, technology is not important per se. It's a nicety.
Well, that's the thing, and it's something I keep telling people, and I've certainly made the decision myself. 2017 was so chock full of the ranting and the arguing and the just general negative. I'm just plain not bothering with it in 2018, and I've committed to myself, and I encourage others to look at the positive side, to look at what is working, and focus on that instead of focusing on what's gone sideways.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree.
We can absolutely point out, where things are sour. But if people don't actually do something with it, and I know you guys are all doing your dangest to make things different, in a positive way. But so many people, all they do is point it out. Oh, you're doing this wrong. And the one thing I do want to remind people is you cannot make yourself look better by making somebody else look worse. It doesn't work out that way.
Not even a little bit. So what was good and what was bad about 2017? Tessa?
I'm kind of on the same page with everyone else. With immaturity, there's a lot of people that lash out immaturely that generally wouldn't, like in person, but behind the computer they kind of take a different stance on things, and so, you know, just people tearing each other down and stuff online instead of supporting each other and trying to understand each other's perspective. And but a good thing with 2017 was Para-Unity, getting together with teams across the nation and doing a united ghost hunt for 2 hours, working on a thing known as the Bridge, where everybody would ask the same questions at a certain time throughout their investigation. But just paranormal teams coming together and sharing their intellects and experiences and helping each other and improve in different ways, whether it's technology or techniques, And I liked your classes, we had the voice along with the PowerPoints the first time, and that was awesome. And then the second time we had the PowerPoints and a group discussion over it, and that was awesome too. So it works great both ways.
Yeah, I'm
appreciate
sorry. I dropped the ball on the audio portion of that, and I'm really sorry about that. I got caught up in between school and drama at that point in time. We'll be getting better about getting the audio up there.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Life happens, but it wasn't bad at all. I mean, we had a good discussion and, got each other's take on things, and, some people learned something different and others, there were some herbs in there we were just like, we had to look up a couple of them. What is this?
Right. Well, and that's why that's why the audio. Yeah, that's why the audio was important. Because I went into the herbs and the stones and what was important for protection and what they're used for and whatnot. Dave.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Dave, as a media professional, looking at 2017, we saw a lot of craziness. Was it not 2017? We saw Steve Huff drop out of the paranormal. It wasn't it 2017 that we actually had a couple that were arrested?
There's been a number of things in the media this year where, from fraudulent activity to, some certain names like Steve Huff dropping out of the paranormal. We also, saw a lot of and you can thank the election in late 2016 for this, but we saw the popularity of the term fake news coming into play. And
yes, we did.
And, there's a lot that went on this year in regards to the real media. And, at points I have personally been, very wary about it. I've been questioning whether or not, what's the point of this? At other times I've praised them, like with the disclosure that happened. I was very critical about it, but I was also very praising of the media, picking up on the fact that we do have disclosure happening right now. So it is very interesting to see how the media is playing a pivotal role. And with so much that it's done through 2017 in affecting what us in the alternative are doing, I think it started off very rough with the fake news and people trying to debate what's going on. And if you're a follower of me on social media, you know that on Facebook especially, I had been eliminating people who were sending fake news out there. The CGI crap of Nibiru or other planets spinning in our atmosphere, and the headline is, "Whoa, what is that? Can I get an update on this?" Like that kind of crap. If you were posting that, I got rid of you because I don't have time. It may seem like a real jerk thing to do, but I don't have time to waste with fake news, because I think what a lot of people don't understand is there's two types of fake news that are going on in the alternative right now. We have the fake news that the media is pulling, and we have the fake news that the alternative is pulling. So when you see, when I'll give you a recent example, and people have heard me on my show talk about this. About a month ago, there was this giant report coming out of CIA headquarters at Langley that the United States Marine Corps' crack team had infiltrated the building and had taken over CIA headquarters. And of course, none of the media, the mainstream media, doesn't cover that. That was the excuse. No, they would cover that. They would cover that. And if the United States media doesn't cover that, guess what? The CBC in Canada would be covering it. The BBC in the UK would be covering it. The Russian news agency TASS would definitely be covering it. China would be covering it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's ridiculous the way people spread this crap around. I mean, you have, and the way I looked at it, I got so sick of it that I finally said to myself, you know what, the only way that I can get rid of this right now is by eliminating the people who are spreading it. And that's what I started doing, is I started eliminating people off my profiles that were spreading this fake news, because I don't need it. The people who look at my profile don't need it. So we just got rid of it. It was nice and simple. It was a beautiful thing, actually. But the year did end in the media on a very positive note with, I'm not going to call it full disclosure, but a step in the right direction disclosure is the way I'll call it. And to bring UFOs to the mainstream, where reporters are actually reporting on this without the X-Files music or Star Trek music or Dorothy saying, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. Whatever it may be, they weren't making fun of the topic. And they were reporting it the way news is supposed to be reported. I think that is wonderful. Do I agree with the process in the way the government and the To the Stars campaign is going about it? No, I don't. I got a big beef with that. But for the mainstream, I could tell you this. There are a lot of experiencers out there who've either witnessed UFOs up close and personal or have had contact or abduction experiences who can now look at a lot of people with vindication, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, very definitely. That is one of those things that, even from my end, noticing the difference in the way people talk about it over the last year, like the growth in people's awareness has been mind-boggling. And in all fairness to you guys, it's because of the work you guys have been doing to push it out into the open. That's where a lot of the change is being stemmed from.
Now, do we see disclosure coming even further? Do we see more fake news coming into 2018?
Oh, of course. There's always going to be fake news, because there's people who believe that Nibiru is real. There's people who believe that the Queen is a reptilian feeding off of virgin children. And that's why she's able to stay alive, because nobody is alive at 89. I mean, heaven forbid if my grandmother turns 90 in January on the 22nd. Heaven forbid. So the whole point that I'm getting at is the fake news crap is going to continue, because for a lot of websites, they're clickbait. That's a familiar term, or it should be by now for your listeners. They're clickbait, and, they make their money off of that. But for the most part, people got to be more vigilant in 2018. Get rid of that crap. If you see someone posting something stupid that is clearly fake news, send them a message. I don't like fake news on my profile, therefore I'm taking you off my Facebook page. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's why that's why we're sticklers about what gets put on Forest Moon. As far as the news that goes on the Forest Moon, other than pictures from clients or people that have a question about their picture, video, whatnot, that's different. That's not news. But anything that comes from another source, I usually try to check it, and it doesn't go on if it comes from a questionable source. And I wish more groups did that.
Well, and you have to be vigilant too. Like you can't, put it this way: the easiest way to tell, and I want everybody, and I hope you don't mind for a second, but I'm gonna try and steal your audience here for a moment. All right, but on January 24th, I have a university professor named David A. Schultz coming on Spaced Out Radio, where he is now doing national presentations across the United States on fake news, the ramifications of it, how to spot it, and I think it's very important that people tune into that episode because it's going to be a real learning lesson for all of us. Even myself. I think I could point out fake news pretty well from being a news guy, right? But I'm sure I'm going to learn something there too, because I'm a firm believer that if we don't stand up and as a group and as individuals, if we don't stand up to, allowing this stuff on our social media, which is the worst cause of it, it's going to continue.
And I agree, it will. And hopefully we don't see more Nibiru. Hopefully we don't see more, look, it's, what's that rocket? The rocket that everyone's saying is a UFO.
SpaceX.
There you go. Yeah, SpaceX, which is, we have people in California and Florida. It's not extraterrestrial, and I'm one of the first ones that usually jumps on. Yep, it's a UFO. But no, if it's obviously not, you don't call it one. It's identified, makes it not unidentified flying object.
Well, the funny part about that, Coop, was the fact that Elon Musk is all over his Twitter feed saying, "This is our rocket. This is our rocket. Enjoy it. Enjoy the site." And people don't. Even Demi Lovato goes on Twitter, and Wiz Khalifa, two pop artists, go on Twitter and say, that was a UFO. Well, guess what? They have about, between the two, they probably have 20 million followers on Twitter, if not more. All right? So they go on Twitter, tell their 20 million followers combined, I've seen rockets before. That was no rocket. That was a UFO. Well, that's how it happens, right? Everybody all of a sudden becomes an expert in what they don't understand.
Well, and that gives the ufology field a black eye, big time.
Oh yeah, double black, really.
Oh, so what was your biggest like and dislike about 2017, Markham?
Getting to do the Paracons was my big like. Getting to travel out in that part of the country. I'd never been there. I'm not going to go into specifics, but the extremely bad news I got Christmas Day was the worst. You know what I'm talking about, and I don't want to go into detail, but anyway, that was, you couldn't get much higher, go from much higher to much lower in that situation, so.
Agreed.
Anyway, there'll be a point of 2018 that's going to really, really, really suck, but hopefully everything will be cool in the fall when it comes Paracon time.
Exactly. And what do you see in science in coming into 2018? Do you see science picking up, or do you see the same old that we saw in 2017?
I think you're going to see the same old. Maybe there will be a few scientists that start looking at the possibility of extraterrestrials or the possibility of UFOs. But I don't think there's going to. That's a very staid and conservative group. I don't think you're going to see much come out of that. I don't think I don't think the head of the Lockheed Martin or some think tank research group out of Texas, or, NIM or something like that's going to come out and say, "Oh, we believe." No, nothing like that. There's not going to be a Neil deGrasse Tyson for the UFO or the cryptid cause.
Now, Tess, in 2018, do you see para-unity furthering?
Yeah, every year it gets bigger, and it goes further. There's more countries that join in, and every year our team grows larger as well, which is sometimes a good thing and sometimes a bad thing. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't see how we can't come together. Besides immaturity and not having an open mind, that's a big part of being in the paranormal, is having an open mind, Nothing's written in stone. We don't know everything. None of us are experts. It's just a learning process as we go, and everybody's got something to put into it, Well,
we've had a lot of issue with, that kind of a roller coaster effect of the para-unity stuff, at least here in this area. And a lot of it seems to come down to ego and, closed minds. And I don't know, it seems to be, it's been pretty rough, at least over here in this area on that front. If it's getting better in other areas, that's great, and I'm hoping that we get to see more and more of it. But, yeah, it seems to have been kind of an up and downer.
Yeah, it definitely is a roller coaster, but you kind of just got to leave the egos behind. And, they kind of seem to snuff themselves out in the end anyway. So.
And I see ego always being an issue. For anyone that's listening that would like to join the affiliation that we've got going, the prerequisite for teams that we have to work with us, for any kind of paranormal case, you see all aspects of the paranormal. And you always have an open mind, and you should always be learning.
You're kind of muffled out there. You need to get your mic closer.
I think the beard got in the way.
It did. The beard's getting in the way. But yeah, we do have standards for teams that we would do work with, and like I said, it's one, you don't ever charge a client. You don't ever call yourself science of the paranormal because, well, frankly, if you're working with technology, that is not science. That's why we have scientists on our team. Even though we're here for emergency management, emergency response of the paranormal, that's what we do. We're not here for the science, but we actually have 2 scientists that are on the team. I think that's important. And you have too many teams out there that don't believe in mediums, don't believe in the psychic aspect of the paranormal. They're only going by their EMF meter, getting that EVP, and anything else is not paranormal, and it's not, you're not a valid team if you don't just use technology. That's so wrong on many levels. Because to have a balanced team, you must use mediums. You must look at science. You must use them balanced. That's how you have a valid team. Anyone want to add to that? Because I know we're getting close to the top of the hour.
Well, the big thing I've found is there's so many that say we're investigators, and the biggest beef I have about it is many of them go in and they'll theoretically take a look around, and like you said, they only use part of the tools. But the thing that bothers me is they'll go in and say, yep, you've got a ghost here, or yep, it looks like there's been a visitor here outside your window. And they won't turn over any evidence to the experiencer, or in some cases what you might call to the victim. I don't have a
Right.
problem with the ones that don't have a scientist on hand if they're willing to say, look, we don't have a scientist, but we know where we can bring one in to help.
Well,
because
and,
not
you know,
everybody's going to have a full group.
And we've talked about this on the show before, but to take that a step further are the ones that will go into a house and say, oh, yeah, look, we got a cool picture and an EVP. Have a nice day. Don't know how to help you now. And they leave. You don't know how many clients I've had that have had teams come in already, and now they're even more terrified because, their fear has been validated, and they don't know where else to turn.
Well, the
And
thing
we've
that
beat up
gets
this
me-
topic. We've beat up this topic so many times, but it doesn't get any better. It doesn't change, which is why we always talk about it, because it doesn't change and you're still seeing it. It just gets frustrating because, clients go to a paranormal investigator. Some of them agreed. They only go because they want to know who it is, what it is. They don't want it cleared out. I can understand that. And for those teams that go in just for a picture of an EVP, that's great. Perfect. Case closed. It was Aunt Gertrude. See, you smelt the lilac. Here's a picture. We got an EVP. She's saying hi. And we're out of here. Case is done. They don't need help. And same thing with abductions. We've had clients that come, well, I don't want to stop the abductions. I just want to know why they're here. And we can help with that sometimes. But then you've got the ones, and I've actually been attacked by some that, how dare you say that aliens are bad? And my explanation to them is, well, my explanation to them is real simple. Okay, so you're not an abductee, you're a contactee. There's a difference. A contactee is the one that has wonderful, benevolent experiences with aliens. I call them space brothers. They go back as far as the 60s, actually the 40s, if I remember right. With the old contactees. The abductees, however, are the ones that do get taken against their will, and they have a traumatic experience. That's the difference. So sure, if you're a contactee, you're good to see how aliens is good because you haven't experienced the bad ones.
Yeah, rest
but don't attack me.
Okay, gentlemen, we'll get you to hang on there for just a second. When we come back, we'll continue this very good discussion. We'll continue our review in the year 2017 and what we're looking forward to in 2018. Tonight on our panel, we have Eric Markham, our FMP scientist, R. Keith Andrews, astrologer and alien specialist, Dave Scott, host and owner of Spaced Out Radio, Tessa Nicole Thomas Peterson of Four Corners Paranormal, myself, Corey Reese, and Eric Cooper of Forest Moon Paranormal. Join us every Saturday night at midnight Pacific Standard Time. You can find us on Spreaker.com, SpacedOutRadio.com, and The Fringe FM. And now for you local listeners, you can catch our show Wednesdays on KSVU on 90.1 on your FM dial from 10 a.m. till noon. Check out Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott 5 nights a week at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and Spaced Out Weekends with Joe Roop Saturdays and Elizabeth Anglin and the Cosmic Passport on Sundays, 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Also check out the Fringe FM and shows like Lighting the Void with Joe Roop and a plethora of other good shows. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and I want you to come on a nightly journey. Starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, every Monday through Friday, you can come hang out with me and the other space travelers. We have it all from Carl the Alien bouncing on by to those misfit gnomes causing havoc. It's 3 hours of fun and entertainment on those topics the mainstream really doesn't want to touch. Come get all paranormal with us at spacedoutradio.com, and together, my friends, along with our resident guitar god Bumblefoot, we own the night.
Become more intimate and interactive with Spaced Out Radio. Join our Space Travelers Club with your new membership. For $5 a month, we'll provide you with special access to the website, monthly prize draws from books to psychic readings, along with monthly newsletter, private interviews, and more. Sign up today to be part of Spaced Out Radio's experience.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
This is Eric Markham, news editor for the Spaced Out Radio's The Encounter Online. We have put together a great team of writers and journalists from all over the world to bring you top-quality paranormal stories, from alien encounters to the latest conspiracies. You won't find any of that fake news here. True stories and top-notch reporting as we look to bring these experiences to the mainstream. The Encounter Online, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Do you want to know the truth? Do UFOs exist? Are aliens real? Are the governments hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO seekers, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow along with us as we journey across the United States, visiting UFO hotspots and alien hotspots, trying to document the UFO phenomenon. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
Have you had an experience you can't explain? Would you like someone you can trust to look into it? We have just the place. The SOR Sightlines Report is the place for you to find answers. Whether it's Bigfoot, UFOs, Dogman, ghosts, aliens, or anything strange, the Sightlines Report will get you connected with one of our expert researchers to find out what's going on. All of your personal information is kept 100% confidential. The SOR Sightlines Report, a place for you to find the answers you need. Only at spacedoutradio.com.
Welcome to Spaced Out Saturdays with me, Dave Cruz from Beyond the Strange. Our weekly feature on spacedoutradio.com will take you around the world discussing everything from the paranormal to the latest conspiracies from the top guests in their fields. We won't leave any story uncovered. Spaced Out Saturdays at spacedoutradio.com starting 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
It's Cosmic Sundays with me, Elizabeth Anglin, in Cosmic Passport. Let me take you down a 3-hour spiritual journey where we will get into everything from ET contact to Psychic Sundays. It's a journey of listening and learning together with some of the best professionals in their fields. You can tune in to Cosmic Passport at spacedoutradio.com every Sunday starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern.
The views and opinions expressed on tonight's show by tonight's hosts and guests are not necessarily those of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Saturdays, Spaced Out Sundays, or SpacedOutRadio.com. Listener discretion is advised. And now back for hour number 2, we have Corey Ruiz, Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal, and S4. You can find Forest Moon Paranormal on Facebook. And for more information on S4, visit spacedoutradio.com. And now, here's Eric Cooper and Corey Ruiz.
All right, welcome back, everyone. For those of you just joining us tonight, we are discussing the paranormal year that was 2017 and what we anticipate for 2018. On our panel, we have Eric Markham, R. Keith Andrews, Dave Scott, and Tessa Nicole Thomas Peterson. Everybody, welcome back.
Well, thanks for having us, and welcome back to the listeners.
Okay, so before the break there, we were kind of discussing, some of the stuff that we're doing in for 2018. trying to have a paranormal unity and stuff, and we're looking for more and more teams to kind of join together and stuff. We do at Forest Moon Paranormal, for teams that we want to work with, we do have a couple prerequisites. One of them obviously is that you don't charge for anything ever. Secondly is that you have a code of ethics. You've got to have a good solid code of ethics, for dealing with your clients and how you present yourself. Those are a couple of the biggies, and the third, of course, is making sure that you've got an open mind. So, just for anybody out there listening, if you want to work with us, those are just three basic things that you got to have. It's not that big a deal, but it's kind of important. So, just wanted to kind of put that out there.
Well, I'm going to add to that, because your code of ethics isn't just how you deal with the clients, but also how you deal with spirits. Because if you're going in there, poking the stick and provoking, that's disrespecting somebody that at one point in time was alive. In some cases, if it's a spirit.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, when you do that, when you start poking the spirit and just calling names and challenging and what have you, the thing that I find absolutely appalling is the people that are guilty of doing that. They upset the spirit and then they leave, and it's the people that are supposed to be being helped that are getting left holding the bag, going, "Well, what do we do now?"
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and that's what we were talking about before the break. Exactly. Is you've got the team that goes in, pokes and prods, uses their pointy sticks, Joe, and they irritate or provoke, and then they leave. Or in some cases, you got teams that they watched it on TV and they didn't work out that way. Oh my God, they really do exist, and they run out of the house. What are you doing in the paranormal field if you can't handle what you're looking at? It's paranormal. Not all of it's pretty. And if it scares you, then maybe you shouldn't be in the paranormal field. But, now you've, again, like I said, you've shown the client that, yes, there is something there, didn't give them any resolution, and you've left. Now, I can't tell you how many times I've had a client call me, and they're in tears and they're terrified. And one, you just calm them down and say, look, we've got this. We've been doing this for 12 years. We do this daily. We have about 5 cases a day. So it's nothing new. We can handle it. It will be gone. And you go from there. And, that's a routine occurrence. It's not like, if this only happened like maybe once a month or, once every couple months, I might not be as irritated and ticked off as I am. But when this happens all the time, it gets so frustrating. Folks, don't watch TV and think you're going to be a Ghostbuster. So it doesn't work that way. Do not use TV for your education. If you've got childhood, or if you've actually done some research and not use Wikipedia for a source, then by all means, get yourself some field time. Jump into a team that's actually active. Use them as, your education source, and go from there. My opinion, any team that's been in this field for under 5 years is new.
Coop, I want to interject here for a second, because I fully agree with what you were saying. I got absolutely no complaints with what you were stating, because I think in a perfect world that is the case. However, I think because we are so involved, we sometimes forget that the majority of people who are having these phone calls and are making these calls, they are watching it on TV. They aren't thinking about researching it online when they have their experiences. They may maybe Google their closest team around them, but I think you're giving people a little too much credit. And I'll give you an example. I went outside during the break and I wanted to see. It's a nice clear night. Is there northern lights? I could have just Googled it to see if there was Northern Lights out tonight. I'm in front of my computer. But you don't think about that. And when you're in the situation, you're not thinking about, okay, if you're not familiar with the paranormal, you have no idea that Forest Moon is a better group than ABC Paranormal. You have no idea because you haven't researched it. Yes, you've seen it on TV because it's a popular thing. People are talking about it, but that's the extent that you know. Most people out there, when they get into this field or they have any interest in this field, will tell you everything that they have learned is from television. I go through it every month when we do our tour at the local museum here. One of the questions I ask every time is, how many people tonight watch paranormal television? At least, at minimum, 80% will say yes, they have. And that's the reason why they are there. Paranormal television isn't a bad thing. It's giving us a lot of exposure. What people don't understand is they're not taking it to that next level, and it's not really their fault because they never had to deal with it before, but they're not taking it to that next level to see what's a quality paranormal team and what isn't. As long as there is no paranormal code or paranormal recording of people who are judging, like you can go to Rate My School Teacher or RateMyBoss.com or, Rate My Dog or whatever it is. Nobody is doing that in the paranormal. All right? And so the public doesn't know that, the ghost team down the road is a bunch of shysters that are just going to sit there and provoke. They don't know that. Because they don't know what provoking means. They don't know by watching TV what clearing a house or cleansing someone is all about. They have no clue. And, it's the naivety of it all because television has made it where they really don't understand the dangers of the aspects that somebody like you do or Corey does or Keith does. Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. And that's something we're actually working on for 2018 is teaching the public what to look for in a team, teaching the public the dangers of the paranormal, teaching the public, this is real. This is not entertainment. And that's the big thing. Paranormal TV is entertainment, but they project it as reality. Is it reality that, the producer kicked a rock and they all went, oh, did you see that? No, that's entertainment. But and I'm sorry, I always rant, and it's frustrating to no end. And I completely agree with what you're saying. It comes down to public education.
See, the sad part is that applies in so many fields, and we have to understand that most of the general public is truly ignorant of what's going on, of where the reality is. The problem, in my eyes, falls in the hands of the so-called investigative teams, and I refer to the ones that are, basically about as useful as a screen door in a submarine. They feed on the honest ignorance of the population.
Mm-hmm. I want to go to you now anyway, Keith, because you've done an astrological chart for 2018, and I'm really curious what you've got to say.
Well, the early part of the year, like the first 2 or 3 months, you're going to find a lot of changes in the social interaction between people, and we're talking all the way from just the local family members right up through the socioeconomic interactions between countries. Like I'm looking here, and February, like January is going to be pretty people doing a lot of rethinking, and that seems to run normal most of the time. But the material world is going to start shifting gears very, very early in February, early February to mid-February, right? Where it gets to be complicated is right when we started, somewhere in the first part of March, there are changes happening. There's stuff coming to light, like more hidden information is going to come to light that is going to create an increase in conflict. So if you guys have been, especially in the investigative side, if you've been having people questioning just exactly what the paranormal is this really happening, you're going to start seeing lines getting drawn, because people are going to start picking a little bit more, if you will, passionately on just exactly what is happening, because everybody's still talking about the disclosure issue, right? You know, about when is all that going to come to light. Well, you're looking, and you know, I think it was Markham that said it earlier, that he's not expecting a whole massive unveiling of a starship showing up. But there is going to be a lot more discussion of what that is going to mean when it happens. And you're going to find the boundaries are really almost dissipating. And when I like the borders between countries are going to start fraying. Because the people in various different countries are going to start saying the same thing. Never mind what the governments are doing, and I'm not talking about the military interactions, but I mean the social outlook. Because by the time we get to June, we're looking at a major shift with people in the way they're looking at the whole UFO phenomenon, at the whole paranormal side of things. And there's going to be a lot more, and this is something you've got to watch for, especially with Forrest Moon, you know, with Forrest Moon there. You're going to have to watch for these upstart companies that are just, or groups that are jumping on the bandwagon, because there's going to be a lot more. I don't want to say a lot more happening so much as a lot more awareness of it. Okay, so there's going to be a lot more questions coming up, but something in the late summer is going to be, by the look of it, is going to be dropped into the middle of the public meat grinder that's going to make people stand up and really start to focus on just exactly where society is going. Simply because of the implications of what happens of what's happening with the shall we say new disclosure process and all the extra information that's coming out. But the other side of this is that it's going to end up come late September, early October, we're going to find that society on the whole is starting to they're starting to react a lot more quickly to things. And there's some sort, and this ought to be entertaining from Markham's standpoint, but there's some sort of a new development from the scientific side that's going to come to light, that they're going to open up, and I'm getting told, quite frankly, it's going to come from somewhere down in the southwestern states, but not on the coast, is where there's some sort of a breakthrough that's coming through.
Los Alamos, maybe? Something there?
Well, not knowing where Alamos is, I'll have to say quite possibly.
Yeah, that's south.
Arkansas.
No, Los Alamos is in New Mexico. Not too far.
No, I know. I'm thinking Arkansas. Isn't Arkansas southwest where Roop was?
That's more.
Well, let me ask you this: what's
Midwest.
What's next door to California? And pardon my obtuseness here, but
Arizona, Nevada.
California, it'd be Arizona. I could see a lot of activity there.
It's probably going to come out of Arizona, because I'm getting it's not the coast, and it's not where you would expect, which kind of rules out Nevada.
Right.
And I mean, you expect as far as the general population is concerned.
Right, because you got Area 51 in Nellis in Nevada, so I'd say probably Arizona.
You know, and the other nice part about it is as we get into November, you're looking at we were talking about a little bit more in the way of unity on the paranormal side of it, you know, on the group side of it, and it's going to be late in the year, but it does look like people are going to start to push for a little bit more communication, especially in that field, as far as trying to bring it into balance, as far as trying to pull all the information together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's going to be an exciting year. There's no question there. The trick is to stay focused on the things that are changing that are good, and not to feed into all the stuff because there's still going to be stuff going sour. Let's face it, the human race is not perfect.
Now, what do you see, or have you seen anything on the alien side?
Well, I suspect very strongly that this is what we're looking at where it comes to August, because there is some sort of information coming clear that is going to make a lot of people stand up and notice. Because when we're talking about secrets coming up, right? Because when I was talking to Coop and he asked me to take a look at this from the alien side of it, that's what I was looking at. That's what I was looking for, to see what they were up to. And the reality of it here is I'm looking at information that has been submerged. It's not stuff that the government is hiding in their secret little labs. Just they haven't been saying anything about it. But the neat part about it, watch for the southern states down in the Florida area, because there's going to be somebody, by the look of it, around August, September, that is it's going to be an amateur astronomer from down that end that is going to spot something before the mainstream. So it's going to look like a little bit of almost like a red herring until the mainstream astronomers pick it up and go, wait a minute, you're kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's going to cause a ripple and a half to personal paradigms, personal thought processes, and of course, I do feel for the law enforcement at that point, because I'm not saying it will, and let's face it, I'm not a doomsayer, but when you end up having reality kind of questioned right in front of you, it's one thing to look into it, it's another to face it head on. But that's going to come out of the Florida area.
Okay, and that makes sense. That's where NASA is. It's where there's a lot of activity on the coast all the time anyway, outside of NASA. And real quick, Corey, you want to hit Joe's question?
Yeah, I was going to hit that question there. Give me just a second. Joe had asked a question. He says, what's the deal with burning sage and waving an eagle feather at it to clear a house? He says, is that TV horse dookie? Well, there's kind of a yes and no there. You don't clear a house with sage. You cleanse the energy. When you do sage around a house, that is to help keep things out, but it's also used to cleanse the energy of a place after something's been removed. You know, it's not really going to remove anything unless it's pretty mild to start with. So basically what it really comes down to is, you know, if you know how, or you have somebody come in who knows how, that removes something that's, you know, kind of really bothering you or the house or anything else like that, something that's kind of negative or whatever it is. Once you get that thing removed, then you can go around the house with sage. You work your way around, opening all the windows and doors. You burn the sage, and you basically clean the energy of the room. And it's been scientifically studied that it actually changes the ions in the air to a more positive. And as for the eagle feather part of it, unless you're Native American, that's just kind of a tool to wave the smoke around. Native Americans probably have some special ritualistic things with that, but, most anybody else is just kind of using it to push the smoke. So hopefully that answers the question.
Another thing, if you're not Native American, you better not get caught with an eagle feather. It's a rather steep fine in some present time.
Yeah,
exactly. Now, where the eagle feather came from is actually the use of sage started with the Native Americans. It started with First Nations. If you're Canadian, the Native Americans are called First Nations. But it actually started with the Native Americans. And, the Native Americans use sage for rituals. They use it for cleansing. And I get that all the time. I get tagged in other groups with people that are having paranormal issues, and it gets real irritating because the first thing everyone jumps on is, oh no, you just need to either grab a priest. Well, priests don't always work. And then they say, well, no, you need to get some sage and sage your house. No, actually, you need to remove what's there, and then you need a sage. And along with saging, you need to make sure you put some salt down your drains. And I would wash your mirrors with a saltwater solution. Everyone jumps on the sage first thing. That is not an end-all. That is a Band-Aid. You need to find out what the root is first, and then you need the sage. So
and I would agree with you wholeheartedly on that. I've seen way too many people try and clear with just sage, and it's great for about 5 minutes. It smells great, don't get me wrong, but if you haven't gotten rid of whatever the problem is, all you're basically doing is masking it for a little bit.
It'll leave for a minute, and it'll come right back, because you haven't gotten to the root.
Yeah.
You need to get to the root. In some cases, it might be a possessed item. It might be an attachment you've got. It could be one of several things. And in some cases, you do nothing but really irritate what's there. And then it's going to get worse. So, yeah. Like Corey said, it's a yes or no answer. Is it part of TV? Yeah, TV picked it up. But it's not an end-all.
Yeah.
So, anyone got any questions for Keith about the reading?
And we have silence.
Anyone?
This is always nice.
I think you must have covered it well.
Just how
apparently I did that
how
good.
horrible is 2018 going to be? Yeah.
Well,
I don't want to know.
remember we said we weren't going to discuss negative for 2018? Well, that just killed the shot.
So what do we see on? Bringing it up, but what do we see on politics? Do we see worse politics, or is it going to be about the same as 2017 was?
Well, you're going to find politics are going to take an interesting twist. I call it interesting, but then I'm twisted to start with. But you're very early in the year. The political dissidence that is going on right now is not just going to go away. I'd love to say it is. I'm still hoping that somebody's going to grab a brain and avoid their version of World War III. But one thing is for certain, certain from my standpoint, there is going to be, I'm going to call it a vocal civil war in at least 3 different countries. And the reason I call it vocal is because I'm not talking about them shooting at each other any more than they already do. actually in 4. Russia's going to run into a problem. China is going to run into a massive problem. And we are talking strictly on the vocal side of it. You can bet the U.S. is going to run into problems. And amazingly enough, Canada's got its fair share, especially on the eastern coast, as political parties start swaying back and forth over what's actually going on between the political side and the natural disasters that are quite frankly a direct result of the negativity that the human race on the whole has been putting out. This is one of the reasons why people have to start focusing on what's working instead of what isn't.
What do you see for natural disasters?
Well, you're going to find, especially on the northwestern coast of North America, you're going to find an increase in the earthquakes. We're not talking about going up into your 7 and 8s, but you are going to end up looking at an increase in around your 4s and 5s. Most of it'll be underwater where we don't have to worry about it. The one that I got warned about that concerns me is Mount Kilimanjaro over in Africa. I'm watching for activity there late in the summer, early in the fall, because and I realize I think somebody said that the thing was extinct. Well, I got bad news for you. I don't think so. There's also going to be a pretty serious destabilization over in the Mediterranean. I'm referring, like you said, we're talking natural disasters. We're not talking the political side of it. Although you can bet the natural disasters will have an impact on the political side. But the odd part with the natural disasters is that people tend to pull together the second you have something like that happen. I just like to see them pull together a little more before it happens.
Well, and agreed, and that's where one thing Forest Moon's going to be working on, because Forest Moon is all encompassing. We don't just do paranormal; we do natural disaster response. We do preparation. We do education. We do a lot of other things than just paranormal, and so that is one of the things we're working on in our local community is getting disaster preparedness classes going. Getting more community involvement, getting ready, because just in our community alone, we have 5 dams, we have earthquakes. We're on the same west coast you're talking about, so we have 2 volcanoes. We have a whole plethora of natural disasters in our local region, and a lot of new people that move here daily. So they hear a siren going off, calling in the volunteer fire department. They freak out because what's that? Well, there's no education for them telling them that there's a local fire department. It's only a siren calling them in. It's a lot of education that needs to be done.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to that, we'll be teaching a lot of disaster preparedness, bug out bags, how to handle the paranormal. We're going to encompass everything, and that's one of the improvements we're doing for 2018. S4, I've got the entire schedule for the year of 2018 already mapped out. Things are subject to change because I know Markham wants to do a Tesla show, so we'll have to plug that in.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be intriguing.
Now with S4, for example, next week we're actually incorporating disaster preparedness into S4. So, for example, next week we're actually doing winter preparedness. And that's what to put in your car, how to survive, what do you do when the power goes out, things of that nature. So we're actually going to incorporate S4 into some of the disaster stuff. Not every month, but seasonal. When we get closer to summer, how do you respond to a wildfire? Because we have wildfires here. Well, you guys know that in British Columbia.
Not at all.
Look at California now. They're still on fire. there's things that we need to do to prepare for these kind of disasters, especially if they're known in your area. One exciting thing I'm looking at 2018 is I'll be done with my associates in Homeland Security in April, and then I'll be starting my bachelor's, and I'm already looking at my master's. So these are all, I'm excited. I can't wait. I already know what the courses are going to be for my bachelor's. They all fit right in with what I want, and what do we see in terrorist attacks? That will be my next question. Do we see a rise in terrorism?
A shift in it is more to the point, and much as I've got my own views on what I see, there's certain things for, I think you'll understand obvious reasons that I won't go into some of it, especially not on air. But there is going to be a shift in where the focus is, and intriguingly enough, there's going to be a shift in who's being blamed. Okay. Who's being blamed and or who's claiming responsibility. But what people have to understand is the whole thing with the terrorism side, because of the political instability, this is what's going to cause the increase in what I want to call the more passive side, like a bomb threat where there's no bomb is a passive thing in a way. There's certainly going to be an increase in that side of it. But the reality behind it is if people start actually communicating with each other, and I mean the general population, you'll find that a lot of the potential terrorist activity can actually be waylaid before it gets underway. Because as you well know, the communication lines, once people understand what's going on, they don't tend to panic as much.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing you got to look at is the rise in technology, which we haven't even touched that on the show tonight. The rise in technology is what's going to be a rise in cyber terrorism, and that's a huge major threat to the infrastructure. That's a major threat to our country alone. And I've taken a course on cyber terrorism alone by itself already, and some of the things that these cyber terrorists do is terrifying. They can manipulate dams, for example, using a computer, because most of our infrastructure has gone to technology. It's controlled by computers. That's the easiest way for a terrorist to attack us. And so that's why there's its own question, or its own field is cyber terrorism. And so Joe's got a question for you. Would the amateur astronomer see a UFO or a planet or an asteroid?
By the feel of it, it's going to be a UFO. Although the caution there is it may well to look like an asteroid to start with. When it first gets spotted, it's going to, what I have been shown is it's going to catch their attention, and I suspect it's going to be because it's too far out, and look like an asteroid on a collision course. It's not until it gets closer that they're going to find out what it really is.
And that's the astronomer in the Southwest, correct?
Southeast. Down Florida way in the northern part of Florida, and again, I really do have to get a map. But right near the border, right near the northern border of Florida. But I can tell you that where it's coming in will take it in over top of, I think it's over top of Rio de Janeiro and straight in over top of Sydney. Like, as in Sydney, Australia, on that trajectory.
Right. Okay. So anyone else got questions of Keith? Do you see a rise in the paranormal in general? Spirit activity, Bigfoot sightings, things of that nature?
Well, the answer there is very definitively, and it's not so much a rise in the actual activity, so much as a rise in the awareness of it. Because more people are going to be looking for answers to what's going on.
Dave, you've been quiet. Are you still awake with us?
Oh, I'm still here. Absolutely, man. I'm just listening in. I love listening to Keith. No, I got Keith coming on this Friday. I can't waste all my questions here. No offense.
Also known as
Dave, sharing is caring.
I think what I'd kind of like to hear now is I'd kind of like to go around with all the panel and hear what they see for, what they have plans for 2018.
Tessa?
Well, we're planning on hitting a lot more locations. We had someone contact us out of Utah for some UFO stuff through Forest Moon. I guess you had flagged them our way. But we're hoping to get out to Utah. We want to come down and do some investigating down here, Superstition Mountains and etc. But, just helping more people, more cases, learning new technologies. I mean, there's so much equipment and technology out there as far as cameras and just grids that pick things up as far as infrared, ultraviolet, etc., etc. There's just so many things I hope that are on the horizon for equipment, but yeah, just getting out there, helping more people, and on this side and the next.
Excellent. Real quick, Joe's got a question for you, Keith. Do you believe in the hidden planets in our solar system?
Oh, absolutely. I can even tell you where a few of them are. The amazing part is that mainstream science hasn't actually acknowledged they're there. But there's one, for instance, there's one in orbit, in the same orbit as Earth, but it's on the far side of the sun. Which means from Earth, we're never going to see it from here. Because it's a matched planet. That's where Mobius is sitting. There's also one inside the sun's photosphere. And intriguingly enough, one that is in the orbit, it runs at an odd orbit, but it sits between Mars and Jupiter. It's just offset by a 30-degree angle, roughly. How was that for succinct?
Makes sense. You'll like your answer. So, Markham, what do you have planned for in 2018?
Oh, couple Paracons. I'm finally going to get around to building my ghost feeder to see how that works. Probably start getting on some more investigations and getting a few more gadgets for that. I'm waiting. Corey is supposed to let me know what's a good meter to get. I'm also setting up a probe. I've designed a probe to go with my oscilloscope, so that if it picks something up, I'm also going to pick it up. It's going to go to a tape recorder, and to the oscilloscope at the same time. So I plan on getting out in the field a little more, collecting some data, and I'd like to take some 4-day trips out. I have unlimited Fridays I can take. The back-to-back weekends is what I got to say for the Paracons in the fall. And I want to go out and see some things.
Well, Joe wants you to go to the crystal mine with him.
Oh, I want to go. Yeah, I want to go to the crystal mine with Joe. Absolutely.
And for our listeners who don't know what we're talking about, Joe Roop from KTL, the Fringe FM, went to a crystal mine where there's actually crystals that levitate. They hover. Very intriguing footage on YouTube. But we definitely need to get together and build a satellite EMF meter.
Oh yeah, I'll bring. Well, I'm not going to have two people's stuff this time when I come out, and I'll have more room in the back of my vehicle, so I'm hoping to bring the raw materials up for that.
Excellent.
Well, you guys got to let me know when you're going out there, because I got family in Arkansas. I'd love to check that out.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm up for, well, that was before other things popped up, but I got to work some things. I got a family thing I got to work around. Hang on, I can't be left alone. I'll be right back.
Okay.
We have dead air.
So I guess we'll move on to the next person here. Is Dave? You know, what's on the horizons for 2018 for you, sir?
Well, when it comes to Spaced Out Radio, we are pushing very hard towards our role in the terrestrial program. I mean, internet radio has been great. We've met a lot of good people. We built up quite a following of about 150,000 people a night. However, I think the message that we're trying to get across to our listeners, which would benefit a lot of people, is to gain more access in the terrestrial radio mainstream realm. I think it's important that we start to get these messages out there. I think our type of programming is going to have more success and more need out there, considering the fact that if this disclosure continues on and continues to move forward, there's going to need to be people who have outlets to listen to this kind of programming rather than a 30-second radio story or a 2.5-minute television story. And the market is not saturated on the terrestrial side with this, and I think it's something that we're going to be very interested in trying to accomplish, and that is the main goal. Now, on a paranormal side, we are going to be developing one of our own ghost teams here in British Columbia, which will be called Gold Rush Paranormal, and from there, what we are going to be doing is we are going to be focusing on our paranormal tour at the 108 Mile Ranch historic site. I went into a meeting just a couple of weeks ago regarding this year's events that we had there. They were extremely pleased. They absolutely loved what we were doing, and they asked us to come back, and we said, well, we'll do more than come back. We'd actually like to double the dates next year. So between June and September of next year, we're actually going to be doing a tour every 2 weeks. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be, pretty extreme. I've also got some plans for a book that we may be trying to write, along with the crypto guru Ronald Murphy, and so it's going to be very, very busy this year.
Very cool indeed. Let me see here. Well, Cooper, what are you seeing for Forest Moon, more specifically in 2018? Hello?
Did we lose Coop again? We have to. I mean, it wouldn't be the same if we didn't.
Oh, it looks like we did. Hold on. It didn't even make a noise either. That's weird.
I mean, what would S4 be with Coop not dropping off?
I know.
I mean, we just throw everybody for a loop.
Oh, this thing can be such a pain in the backside, too, to try to get somebody back in if it isn't done just right. I hate Skype.
Somebody's going to have to come up with a better one. And I am not the one to do it.
I am telling you, man. I am telling you.
Tripping. Coop flew the coop again.
Yep.
What Coop needs to do with his new phone is download the Skype app. That way he can just call on in.
Yeah, I know.
If
I
the
just
beard lets
downloaded
him.
that on my phone. That's, you know.
If the beard lets him.
Yes.
There he
I'm back.
is.
It has to do with the towers. And I was listening and watching along. I tried to get a hold of you. But, okay, for Forest Moon in 2018, yes, of course, I already mentioned we have the, I'll be getting my degree. We have a lot of activities, a lot of events Forest Moon's doing. Ideally, we'll be expanding Para-Unity with other teams that will be coming in. Of course, we've got Paracon, we have Dave's Paracon, and then we have our big Forest Moon Paranormal fundraiser in October. I believe the date is for the 20th in Bellingham. And that's basically a mini Paracon where one of our new members, Cheryl Hershey, is heading that up. And it's in a haunted location. And it's going to cover, just like we do a Paracon, speakers covering every aspect of the paranormal. But it is set up as solely a fundraiser for us to get new equipment. We'll have a gas fund, things like that for Forest Moon operations. So that sums it up in a nutshell. We also have, again, public education we'll be doing all summer long. We'll have a Forest Moon booth all summer long. And it's going to be an exciting year.
Okay. You know, on my end for 2018, I'm just kind of looking forward to seeing the paranormal unity of groups of us groups working together a little bit more, taking a step further and going in the right direction. You know, and just, you know, hoping that we can weed out the ones that are going to act immature, you know, and have a bunch of ego and a bunch of closed minds, and just say, you know, thank you but no thank you, and let them go on their way and do what they're going to do, and let us, you know, really focus on what we do, which is a lot of emergency management, really, when it comes down to the paranormal, especially. I'm looking forward to the event in Bellingham, because it looks like I'll probably be kind of teaching a class up there at that one for Paranormal 101 in Ethics, and it looks like we're probably going to have a good group of people presenting there, so it's going to be kind of a fun time.
Well, and what's exciting about that too, we got Mike Bourne coming down, and he's actually bringing a Bigfoot guy with him. So we'll be covering Bigfoot as well on that one, and I might be getting his Bigfoot guy for the Paracon as well, because we didn't have much for Bigfoot at this year's Paracon, which was unfortunate. But we're going to be working on that. We need a new cryptid aspect in Forest Moon to focus solely on the cryptid side. And, you know, that's where things are going to change as well with Forest Moon. Like you said, Corey, with the immature teams, as we are putting our foot down, we're going to actually get a little more stringent about who we bring into the fold, in the family. And if they don't fit, if they don't cut it, they're gone. I'm not playing look the other way. I'm not going to play Mr. Nice Guy anymore. I'm done. I don't have time. I don't have the patience. I'm done. You either cut it or you don't. If you don't, you're gone. That's the bottom line. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt in 2017. Not anymore. So you're going to see an attitude change coming into 2018. We're strictly business. It's going to be, rubber the road, and we got too much work to do.
Yeah, no doubt. I couldn't agree with you more on that one.
And I do see our caseload is going to pick up, especially locally. And we don't have time for drama. We don't have time for BS.
No, you're going to have enough time trying to find time to sleep, never mind anything else.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, I've seen how much work Cooper does to make FMP run along with everything else. When he got Facebook jailed, that was a fun one. And I had to take over some of the duties, not all of them, but some of the duties. I was just like, holy crap, man! Do you ever sleep? The answer is probably not. Probably not.
Not a lot of doses.
You just got a small taste of my world.
Exactly.
And yeah, I get maybe 3-4 hours of sleep a day, and yeah, that's what it boils down to.
Well, they say the older you get, the less sleep you need.
Then I could be in serious trouble.
Also, you all are going to meet Sean Lunsford. He couldn't make it tonight. He is actually one of my brothers in arms. He will be on the show probably next week. And he dropped off the radar for about 6 years, and he's actually one of the original Forest Moon Grove members. He was a pagan troop that we supported, and I actually know him personally. And ideally, he's going to be moving here. I would like to make him a security specialist because I believe that's needed, especially coming into the year. So I look forward to him being on the show and you all getting to meet him. He's a great guy, and he's going to be a lot more involved now that he's back. He literally dropped off the radar, told us he was dropping off the radar, and did. He went to Ireland for like 3 or 4 years. So he said he was leaving, and he did. So he's back, came back today, and look forward to him getting involved.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing from. That had to be a good vacation there.
Yeah, he had to find himself, and that's what he did.
Yeah, it's a journey
awesome.
we all end up following on occasion.
Well, and sometimes,
Exactly.
if you're ex-military, some of the stuff that you've seen, gone through, had to do, it's a definite needed, and sometimes it's just completely necessary to try to do. You gotta kind of reset yourself, because that's depending on what kind of combat he's seen, it could be some pretty horrific stuff. I mean, that's a lot of PTSD right there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. And Robert tells me to get stronger coffee. Yeah, well, Robert, I drink coffee all day long. Coffee and caffeine doesn't do anything to me.
No, it tastes so much better than water.
You and I have probably built up a hell of a resistance. Caffeine. What's that?
Well, let me explain something. In a desert environment, you have to drink water. In Iraq, I drink coffee, and I drink so much coffee, I actually kept myself hydrated with coffee, literally. Yeah. We actually 130 degrees. We actually got endorsed and sponsored by Tully's Coffee, and they actually, sent me with 15 pounds of coffee, and about mid-tour, this it's another 20 pounds. So when we had our meetings, oh God, yeah, when we had our meetings, we had no problem with coffee. So, yeah, it's going to be a busy year. I look forward to it. I'm actually happy that 2017 is over, because we're turning a new page. We have one member in Forest Moon that actually wants us to sit down and write a manual, and I don't even know where to start. but that is a project we might pick up and start working on. It's operations, how we do operations, and what we expect in the paranormal, and basically a glossary of our operational terminology.
That sounds like fun.
Oh God, no, it's not. It's not going to be fun.
Fun is not what I would call it.
No, I think you put them in touch with me. I'll do that for you.
Okay, okay. I'll have to
get them with me, and then they send me we'll do the roughs, and then send them to you guys, you and Corey, for fine tuning.
I'll have to send you the astral terminology, because that's what it boils down to.
Yeah.
It's and again with paranormal ethics, with a code of conduct, it's not about how you investigate; it's the ethics of investigation. I get asked that. Well, are you going to control how we investigate? No, I don't care how you use your EMF meter. I don't care how you do EVPs, as long as you're being respectful about it. It has nothing to do with that. A code of conduct is simply how you treat your clients and how you treat spirits, or aliens for that matter. Because we've even been tested on the astral of rescuing an alien. So are we here? Are aliens the enemy? Not always. There are benevolent races. We accept that, but there are also malevolent ones, and that's the bottom line. And I know the show's over. Thank you, everyone, for being on the panel. Great show. Goodbye, 2017, and hello, 2018.
Indeed, very much so.
Absolutely. Through the new year.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Weird.
Absolutely. Happy New Year.
Okay. All right. I would like to thank our panel, Eric Markham, our FMP scientist, R. Keith Andrews, astrologer and alien specialist, Dave Scott, host and owner of Spaced Out Radio, and Tessa Nicole Thomas Peterson of Four Corners Paranormal. Join us next Saturday at midnight Pacific Standard Time as we talk about winter survival and how to prepare. You can find us on Spreaker.com, SpacedOutRadio.com, and The Fringe FM. And now, Wednesdays from 10 till noon on KSVU 90.1 on your FM dial. I would like to thank all of our listeners, because without you, there is no S4. Good night, ladies and gentlemen, and remember, keep your eyes to the sky.